The United States power grid and water system seems to be under attack. Not by Iran this time around, but by China. I mean, what's next, right? Will we have to wait on cyber attacks that would then target our communications? Will they hack Verizon, T-Mobile, Comcast? Or maybe they want to check what we're streaming on Netflix, Hulu, or even Disney Plus. I know all this sounds crazy, but again, I'm talking about China here, the company that we continue to piss off, hacking into our power grids and water systems. Like, that's absolutely insane stuff in and of itself, right? But when you ask officials from the White House, it seems like nothing's going wrong. At least that's what the body language tells a lot of people.
What's the response then? Is there an answer from the administration to an attack like this?
So there's an us and a them. And the first response needs to be to absolutely lock our digital doors against these attacks. So for example, in the case of the water system, just last year, EPA issued a rule putting in place minimum cybersecurity practices, things like changing default passwords, things like removing or limiting the accounts administrator access have. That rule faced litigation and had to be pulled back, but there is absolutely nothing preventing every water system in this country. It doesn't cost any money to change default passwords, to put in place those basic cybersecurity practices. So that's the first part. There's the us part of this, which is to say we have to lock our digital doors. And then of course there's the them piece. And from a US government perspective, there are actions we're taking every day. Taking down digital infrastructure, ensuring that we're following the trail of who is responsible for that and handling it appropriately.
How about just remove the door? I know you want to close the door, but should these facilities be online at all? How about we take all this equipment off the internet, Ann?
It's a great question. There are real reasons to automate operations across critical services, whether it's water systems, whether it's rail systems. We believe that can be done securely and safely, and that's why the White House and the US government, FBI, CISA, have been pushing out practical cybersecurity guidelines so we can get the benefit of new technology, improve the services, critical services are available to American citizens, but do so in a safe and secure way.
Oh boy. Okay, Ann, let's ask the people, shall we? Because she seemed really relaxed in that interview. How about you guys? Do you think that this government is doing its best to protect our critical infrastructure? Comment a yes or no on that one down below, and I'm really interested to see what you guys feel about this one, given all of it, affecting all of us. And while you guys are down there, do me a solid one and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I totally appreciate you guys, and I love updating all of you guys about what's actually happening. Appreciate that.
It seems every other week, Chinese hackers are in the news. That too, state-sponsored Chinese hackers. Beijing's shady right hand. They have various nicknames in the intelligence community. We told you about backdoor diplomacy a few days ago and their activities in Kenya. Today we'll talk about Volt Typhoon, China's sleeper cell of hackers. On Wednesday, Microsoft issued a warning. It found that Volt Typhoon had infiltrated critical US infrastructure. They'd been targeting every sector imaginable across the US, from standard ones like communications, government and transportation, to manufacturing, construction, and even education, basically covering all the bases. And where is Volt Typhoon embedding itself? All over the US and its Pacific Island territory of Guam. Guam is basically a US military colony in the Pacific Ocean. It's at this strategic location close to Japan, the Philippines, and Taiwan. Its position makes it a hub for communication between the US and Asia and Australia. Guam is also within striking distance of Taiwan in case China decides to invade. So you can see why Beijing would have eyes on it. And according to Microsoft, Volt Typhoon is hacking Guam's infrastructure. This will be crucial in the event of an armed conflict. The hackers could use their access to disable communication at a critical moment. It could temporarily blind the US and its allies, creating a window for a Chinese lightning strike. Now you may wonder, how has Volt Typhoon managed to infiltrate US infrastructure? Doesn't hacking usually mean a quick attack to steal valuable information? Well, Microsoft says the group is using what's called living off the land techniques. This isn't the usual method of targeting people to steal passwords for access. Instead, Volt Typhoon operates with stealth. It manually issues commands over the network, steals credentials from local systems, blends into normal network activity, and even uses open source tools to gain access.
All right, so getting back to China here, we now have confirmation that Chinese hackers are getting through the firewalls of critical US infrastructure by targeting office workers in those places. It's also being said that Beijing's military has gotten into at least 20 major suppliers in the last year, which includes a water utility in Hawaii, a West Coast port, and an oil and gas pipeline. Yeah, I know, it doesn't sound too good for us. You see, these are the ones that are being reported, but how many more are they hiding from us? And I'm not even talking about our federal government. I'm talking about China, because if you can get into a couple of these infrastructures, who's saying you haven't gotten inside more? Now, you're probably wondering, how are they doing all this? Well, the simple answer is that they were intercepting passwords and logins from junior employees, and they seem to be sitting on a multitude of these logins, meaning that they're just waiting for that go signal to go ahead and turn everything off. And when I say everything, I'm talking about power and water utilities, communications, transport systems, the works, Now, the government of Homeland Security say that these attacks are most probably meant to disrupt or, at the very worst, destroy critical infrastructure right here in our country in the event of a conflict. Not one where China goes to war with us. Oh, no. But if and when they decide to invade Taiwan. You see, the DHS said that disrupting multiple critical infrastructure here at home would cripple us and probably prevent us from helping out Taiwan, as we're going to have a buffet of problems right here at home. Like, take Hawaii, for example. I mentioned them a second ago. Hawaii is home to the Pacific Fleet. Disrupting things over there would greatly affect how we can move our troops and our equipment around through ships. And that's just one place that they can attack. It's not just that though. If they attack the ports and their systems, what does that do for our supplies that come in through those places? It's not like we're experiencing any shortages right now, right?
America is in the grips of a drug shortage. We've been talking about this here at News Nation. Antidepressants, ADHD medications, chemotherapy drugs. That's a real concern, as millions are struggling to get the medications that they need. This is a problem that's been plaguing the healthcare industry for a matter of 2 decades. Researchers now saying the issue can be traced back to a fragile supply chain of generic drugs. And
some of y'all might be asking, why are we suddenly talking about drug shortages here? Well, because it relates to China. You see, we're leaning on China to provide us with a lot of life-saving drugs. And sure, we all have different opinions on drugs as well. The same could be said for big pharma companies, but China has positioned itself to a point where if they decide to stop giving us these drugs, well, that's going to cause a lot of chaos. It's going to create a lot of panic. Now, just imagine a scenario, right? And I encourage you to have an open mind here. What if China suddenly attacks multiple parts of our critical infrastructure? I'm talking water, electricity, communications, transportation, and they decide to cut us off when it comes to drugs and medicine. And just to add a little cherry on top, they take over Taiwan and remove our access to microchips. Sounds like a really bad time for us, huh? So the next question is, will we be able to recover from that? It sure doesn't help that we seem to be on the brink of another world war every single day. It's like I wake up and, oh, we got cyber attacked again. I haven't even mentioned in this video that we continue to see an influx of military-aged Chinese men coming in through our borders who Democrats want to enlist into our army. But the message from the White House is very clear. There's nothing to be afraid of. The hackers have not done anything to damage or even affect our infrastructure. And the United States is still the most powerful country in the world. Or at least that's what they're trying to promote. So the question is, do you believe any of that? Make sure you guys let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. And before I go, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for hitting the like for the video and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.